Bomberman is a classic and beloved video game series, and it's been around since the 80s. Bomberman for me has the same charm as the Kirby games, where you get to play as a cute and lovable character who also happens to possess weapons of mass destruction. Bomberman is just stupid addicting to play. You get to blow everything up, collect upgrades, and overall the games were a complete blast. The main attraction of these Bomberman games was the multiplayer component. You were able to play games like Super Bomberman with your friends and just go at each other. These Bomberman games are some of the most fun games I've played in multiplayer, but Saturn Bomberman took it to the next level. You were able to play the battle mode with up to 10 players, which is honestly so absurd. This was easily the biggest selling point of the Bomberman games back in the day, but even playing the campaign modes in single player was a ton of fun. Playing through all those different levels and fighting all those bosses was a lot of fun. The Sega Dreamcast would also get a version of Bomberman where you could actually play the game online against people, so they were always adding innovations to these Bomberman games. And even the transition to the Nintendo 64 was a huge stepping point for Bomberman, as Bomberman 64 was a completely unique game for the series. Bomberman was still innovating with Bomberman 64 and Bomberman Hero. Both of these games are very different from each other, but it comes to show how much more they can do with Bomberman, and how Bomberman 64 even got a sequel, so the series was still very successful at this point. But then the mid-2000s happened. There was a epidemic of dark and gritty games, and hell, even Nintendo was making their games look gritty at this point, so I guess this gave somebody the bright idea to do this with Bomberman. I do want to preface that I love this era of video games, but there was a handful of video games that we did not need at this time, including this Bomberman game. This game practically takes everything you know and love about Bomberman and throws it all out the window. This is Bomberman Act Zero, and the game released back in 2006. Just by looking at the cover art for the game, you can already tell this game is atrocious. Even whenever I stumbled across this game as a kid, I saw that cover art and knew the game was going to be some straight ass. So my best guess is that this game was catered towards a more mature demographic, as not only is the game T-rated, but they also completely threw out the original design. Instead, the game gives us a crappy cyberpunk looking character. This suit design was also reminding me of something that I couldn't put my finger on, but then I realized this looks exactly like that one suit in that Spy Kids movie. It is such a atrocious character design, but hey, at least they added female characters with Marvel rivals proportions. Okay, but actually, what the hell is this, man? Somebody literally put the effort into adding jiggle physics in a Bomberman game. Like, are we actually dead ass, bro? This is probably the most bizarre design change I've ever seen happen for a video game. If they are going to completely remove that iconic design, they might as well not call the game Bomberman in the first place, because this was absolutely not what fans were expecting for a Bomberman game. And I am honestly perplexed that this game actually released in the first place. This game should have been trashed as soon as they made this new designs for the characters, but the game still released anyway on the Xbox 360, and whenever the game did release, it actually costed $50, so it is definitely no wonder why this game failed in the first place. You would also think that this game had like a crazy storyline to match the dark and gritty art style that they went for, but this game actually has no form of story whatsoever, which is honestly so ridiculous because almost every Bomberman game at this point had some form of campaign mode. I also have no possible way of playing this game in multiplayer, so I can't even show you guys what it looks like. The reason why is because this game actually did not have local multiplayer either. The game strictly only had online multiplayer, and I fully understand that the main selling point of the Xbox 360 was for the online play, but this game was legitimately dead on arrival. Like, there was nobody playing this game online, so to no surprise, I wasn't able to find a single person on the game, so I can't show you guys whatever the multiplayer was supposed to be for this game. So I am stuck with the single player modes, and the single player modes are honestly atrocious. The single player content is is actually non-existent. There is only 2 different game modes and they are barely different from each other. The first game mode is called FPB. This stands for first person battle. So you would expect this to be like some first person Bomberman game, but it's actually not even that. It's completely misleading. It's actually a third person mode where the camera is panned over your shoulder. This is such a awkward camera angle, you are not going to see anything on the screen. It's practically impossible to see where the opponents are. You also are able to zoom the camera, but you can't zoom out any further. You are only able to zoom in on your character. Who in the right mind thought this was a good idea? I just want to see where my opponents are. This mode also introduces a health bar, so you can actually get hit by multiple bombs in this mode, which I think that is so lame and boring. But once you actually do kill the enemies, the game will show you a super weird cutscene and then immediately take you to the next stage. And that's the entire mode. This mode also doesn't have any form of extra lives or anything, so if you ever die, it just takes you straight back to the title screen. Yeah, the developers were too lazy to even make a game over screen, if you can believe that. I've also heard that there is 99 levels, and since there is no checkpoints and you only have 1 life, good luck ever beating this game. If you actually beat all 99 levels, you are probably a psychopath. And let's take a look at the other single player mode. This mode is the exact same as the previous one, but it actually places you at a top-down angle like the classic Bomberman games, like how the game should have been in the first place. You can actually see where your opponents are in this game mode, and there also isn't a health bar in this mode either, which is nice. I find it really strange that these are 2 separate game modes when the battle mode in the Bomberman games gave you a bunch of settings that you could toggle on and off. I feel like the health bar in the camera angle should have been a toggle for you. I think those should have been settings instead. So I think this whole game is bizarre for making 2 separate modes of basically the same thing. As for the actual gameplay, there really isn't anything to talk about. The whole game feels slow and clunky, and the power-ups are so boring in this game. The graphics are also atrocious. I would much rather look at the graphics of the older Bomberman games than look at whatever this is. And the music in this game is offensively boring. The music in this game is actually just white noise. Like, it is the most generic music that I've ever heard in a game. You know, there's a lot of Bomberman games with amazing music. Super Bomberman, Saturn Bomberman, Bomberman Hero. Those games have fantastic soundtracks. I am honestly so impressed that the older Bomberman games, like the Super Nintendo games, have more content, better graphics, and better gameplay than a Bomberman game that came out on the Xbox 360. Like, it is an accomplishment that they made a game this bad. It's safe to say this is the worst reboot I've ever seen for a video game. I don't think Bomberman even needed a reboot to begin with. Bomberman Act Zero is just a spit in the face for Bomberman fans, and we should all collectively forget that this game existed. But yeah, that's about it. I'll see you guys in the flip.